no shelter in the country has the bandwidth of taking in 60 dogs a day. He bit one of the domestic staff on the neck and almost killed him. Average is about 20 to 25 adoptions a month is what we do. Dog is not a toy, a dog is not a tool, it's not a prop for you to use, and especially not to promote an event. Running a space like this itself for us costs us approximately.
Hello Happy Pet Fam, we are here at the Second Chance Sanctuary today after all of your requests. We have one of the trustees, Sanjana Madappa, with us. Hi Sanjana, how are you?
Hi, thank you guys for coming, thank you guys for doing this.
It's our pleasure, thank you so much for having us here today. Please tell us about Second Chance Sanctuary.
We are an animal welfare organization that's based out of Bangalore, and we focus primarily on rescue, rehabilitation and adoption of dogs. We are not actually a medical trauma center, but with the cases that come in, we can't say no, so we do our treatments at private centers. We also have our own in-house medical setup with a para-vet, so that for basic things at least we can take care of it over here. But primarily we stand as the only organization right now in the country which is an NGO that takes in cases that are considered too aggressive to be in homes safely. People give up their dogs because they buy breeds without understanding them, understanding the breed requirements, understanding how to set boundaries with them, how to help them thrive more than anything else. And then these dogs are deemed too aggressive to live in society. Before Second Chance, these dogs were euthanized, and it was a very well-known fact that these dogs were just taken to veterinarians and they were considered dangerous and so they were put down. But since 2013, we've rescued and rehabilitated over 8,000 dogs.
Talking about Second Chance Sanctuary, do you guys have a roadmap that you guys are following to head on to something? Do you have a goal that you guys want to achieve, or in terms of expansion, what are you looking at?
Yes, I think every NGO faces the same problem, which is that we are all on rented land, which means that the minute the place gets urbanized, we're kicked out. So our eventual aim at the end of all of this is that we're able to, maybe on the outskirts of the city, purchase about 6 to 10 acres of land, because we don't want to just help dogs, we want to be able to help large animals as well. Large domesticated animals, we're talking about horses, cows, sheep, goats, pigs, donkeys, camels if needed. That's what we want to move into as well. And for that, obviously, we will need space. But primarily, the aim here is to not have to do this every 5 years. Because one is, it's exhausting. Two is, it costs money to do this every 4-5 years. To have to build a setup like this is it's a waste of money. And so we'd rather have one space which is there permanently, it's secure. The animals, we're not worried about them being displaced. We've seen this happen with so many NGOs where after their rent runs out, or the lease runs out, or the rental term runs out, they don't know what to do with the dogs, so then the dogs get dumped onto other NGOs. And this domino effect has happened way too many times. And that's something we want to avoid. So that is our long-term plan. Hopefully we will be able to achieve it. So let's see how that goes. So I think a great way to do that would be for them to start getting involved with existing NGOs, learn the ropes, learn what to do, what not to do. Over setting up 3 different shelters in the last 10 years, we've gone from having a place where we did have kennels, we had 6x6 kennels, to this being a completely, what we would say is a cage-free setup. If you look around, each of the dogs have enclosures and rooms of their own. This is what you would say like an average sized backyard would be. That was the idea of doing what we did here. But this is again things that I have learned over time. I've learned the importance of giving dogs that kind of space, how frustration of keeping them in small pens can actually make their behavior worse. So these are things I learned with experience, right? And I wouldn't have gotten that experience if I hadn't actually attached myself first to another NGO and then started working with them. So I think that would be probably a great way to start off if you have the bandwidth to do it both financially in terms of time. So this place is about 58,000 square foot. We can house about 110 dogs at any given point of time, comfortably without compromising on any dog's care or their health. And our operational costs, our fixed operational costs every month are about 4.3 to 5 lakhs. Over and above that, we have on any given month about a 2.5 to 3 lakh medical bill that comes in. So running a space like this itself for us costs us approximately between 7 to 8 lakhs a month. So firstly, one of the main reasons we find people giving up dogs because of behavioral issues is because they have chosen a dog that doesn't suit their lifestyle. So for example, you've got Dabang over there. He's the biggest example I use because he came from an extremely affluent family that treated him like a baby. There was zero abuse in his case. Treated him like a baby. But they brought in Akita, who essentially is a guard dog, who is used to acres and acres of space, has extremely high protective instincts. They are very loyal. They're not okay with every person. They are very family-oriented dogs, but they're not okay with everybody. They respond to a particular structure. These are all it's genetically coded in them, and they were bred for these specific traits. They went and bought an Akita and then kept him in an apartment in Bombay where they spoiled him and kept him like a child. When he was 1 year, 3 months old, he bit one of the domestic staff on the neck and almost killed him because their bite force is quite strong. And he's a big boy. He's one of the biggest Akitas we've had here. He's a big boy. So he almost killed the guy because he bit him on the neck. And he was going to be euthanized because the veterinarian, the behaviorist trainers, the breeder himself said if the bite is so severe, euthanize the dog immediately. Dabang came to me a few days after that. He was born in 2020. He's 5 years old now. Now, again, not that he hasn't bitten me. He's bitten me as well. But you work on a bond with the dog and you work on forming a structure with the dog. And then you take it forward. So for a dog that is so terrifying, I mean, supposedly so terrifying because he apparently almost killed somebody, he's actually, come here, one minute, Baba. He's actually eased up a lot. He's become so good. He's a lot more tolerant of new people now. He never used to be. I can put my hand in his mouth. When you're getting a dog, figure out whether you have the bandwidth to give the dog what the dog requires based on its breed. They need a certain amount of engagement, a certain amount of physical exercise, a certain amount of mental stimulation, so that that frustration doesn't develop and then that frustration doesn't convert into aggression.
I'm a person who's just freshly out of college.
Right.
I want to do good to the whole community. I want to be a part of this. If I were to start off somewhere, I don't find any information online. Nobody talks about how can I foster dogs or how is it that I can contribute to this.
Right.
I personally reached out to a couple of shelters calling saying that is there any volunteer program that you guys have? So they're like, sir, अभी के लिए कुछ program नहीं है, हमारे पास staff है, हम लोग ठीक है, अगर कुछ मदद चाहिए तो हम कर लेंगे. But is there a starting point or a first step for a person to start off contributing to this whole community?
So I think the reason that shelters primarily don't have very active volunteering programs is because you're dealing with live animals. There is a certain amount of unpredictability. You don't want incidents where if someone gets bitten, and it won't even be the dog's fault. It'll be some silly fight that's broken out between two dogs and someone gets bitten or someone gets nipped. You don't want to take those risks. So volunteering opportunities are normally scheduled where, then the dogs are kept away and then you do maintenance of the center or painting, and that's normally through CSR activities or groups of people that are like put together to come and do it. And it's on 1 or 2 particular days in a month. Right. Or we have bathing activities or cleaning activities, stuff like that, where we are there to monitor and make sure that we're keeping you and the dog safe, right? So I think that's primarily why the volunteering programs might not be as popular or as often. But as an individual, if you want to start to do something, You can start with something as simple as making sure that your community, like I said, your community dogs are, make sure that right outside your house, they're sterilized, vaccinated. Choose a feeding spot for them that's away from people, that's not going to disturb your neighbors. Put out 1 meal a day for them. That's it. Make sure they have water. You can make a difference right where you are in your home without actually having to really go out and volunteer at a shelter. If you want to get more involved, then you can start with fostering. Fostering is a great way for people to get involved with this because you have the experience of having a dog at home without the pressure really of saying that this is a lifetime commitment. You're also helping out the NGOs, you're helping out the dogs, you're helping out rescuers, so it's a great way to do it. Foster dogs. If you still feel like you have more to give, then yes, we have more intensive volunteering programs where people come in and they learn how to train the dogs, they learn how to work with the dogs, you know, they understand the risk that's involved. And then they start getting more involved on ground with the organizations. So these are a couple of things you can do.
If a dog picks up any behavioral issue, so I suppose it can be anxiety or hyperactiveness, right? Pet parents magically want the trainer to, you know, fix the dog in like 15 days. 15 days or like in 15 sessions.
Yeah.
Even if that doesn't happen, they're like, oh, that trainer's not a good trainer. That's the whole concept that's running around. Would you want to break the stigma around this? What is this magical expectation that pet parents have so that they can fix the behavioral issue of a dog?
Behavioral changes come with consistency. If behavioral changes for the negative have started, it started over a period of time. It doesn't start overnight. It's triggers and signs and signals that the dog is giving you that you have missed or not read for over a sizable period of time. So if you expect a magic fix in 15 sessions, it's not going to happen. And I'll be very, very honest over here that if anyone claims that in 10 sessions or 5 sessions or 15 sessions, barring teaching your dog how to do a sit, barring that, if you're talking about behavioral rehabilitation, if there is any trainer that is telling you they can do it in 5 sessions, 10 sessions, they're either using extremely harsh methods. We've heard cases of dogs having been sedated, having been given medications to sedate them to show how calm they've become while their training has happened, or they're taking them away from the pet parents and then beating them, literally beating them into submission. So it's very, very unrealistic to expect a dog's behavioral issues to get fixed in 10 sessions. If a behavioral issue has started, it started over a period of time. For the behavioral issue to kind of ease off and then get resolved, again, it's going to take a sizable amount of time. Now that is going to come at a cost. Obviously, if you're asking someone to provide a service to you, you have to pay for that service. That is something you need to take into consideration when you get a dog, that if your dog develops behavioral issues that you are not able to correct, then it's an investment you have to make. That is something else that you also have to take into account when you get a dog. You have to be consistent in what the messaging you are giving your dog for the dog to understand what is expected of him or her. It's also to create an environment that's secure for a dog. I've very rarely come across a dog that bites because they want to injure. It's coming from a place of insecurity, it's coming from a place of anxiety, it's coming from a place of fear, it's coming from a place of just not trusting and not knowing. And they don't know what to do, so their first instinct is to bite. I have actually, till date, I haven't come across a dog that just bites and goes for a kill just because they want to or because they're enjoying it. In fact, biting is very stressful for a dog. It's not something they enjoy doing. For them itself, it's stressful. So here again, but I'm making it clear, I'm not talking about protection sport dogs where you're teaching them to bite and so it's a game for them and then they enjoy doing it. That's different. I'm saying a dog that's biting you normally is biting out of fear. It's biting out of anxiety. It's biting because there is a trigger to it. It's not because they're just, doing it for the fun of it. So invest that time in trying to figure out what it is and don't expect an overnight fix. Indies they need to be given the same amount of respect that every other breed is given. Indies have very individual characters. They are very strong dogs. They are phenomenal family dogs. There's no doubt about it. They're phenomenal. But again, like I said, I wouldn't recommend everyone get a Rottweiler. I wouldn't recommend everyone get an Akita. Indies need to be given that same respect, and unfortunately, in this pressure of trying to get indies off the streets and promote indie adoptions, what ends up happening is indies are put into homes with families that are not equipped to have them. And this is not a bad thing. This is not saying indies are bad. This is saying they have personalities too. They have breed traits too, which you should respect, and you should take that into consideration when you're rehoming or putting an indie pup in a home. Give indies the same respect that you would with any of the other breeds. Actually, my first rescue was when I was 21 years old. He was an indie. Thing on social media a little while ago, because there was a place in Mysore that was doing this puppy yoga, and they featured primarily very, very young pedigree puppies. And it became a thing about, oh, you know what, you've got any pedigree pups over there, you should have indie pups over there. No, you don't use dogs as props, irrespective of the breed. Don't use a dog as a prop. And I understand it's coming from a place where you're trying to promote adoption, but you are again one is you're exposing puppies that are very young, who might not be fully vaccinated, who can be carrying infections to each other. That's the first thing you're doing. Two is you're exposing them to a place that might technically not be completely sanitized. They can pick up an infection from the place that they're in. If you're going to have multiple pet events in this place, there can be an infection that the dog picks up from that a puppy can pick up from there. Three is, like I said, the first 3-4 months of a dog's life is very, very crucial in terms of imprinting certain behaviors and so learning certain behaviors. You're putting them in situations where they're being forced to be handled, forced to be picked up, forced to be put on people's bodies, forced to be, passed around like on ball. You're putting them in that situation and they're helpless and they can't do anything about it. This is not about indie and pedigree. This is just, a dog is not a toy, a dog is not a tool, it's not a prop for you to use. And especially not to promote an event. So, firstly, the BBMP has an animal birth control program, which is what is supposed to keep community animals' reproduction in check. And this is supposed to minimize human-animal conflict as much as possible. And that is in the process of happening. So firstly, if you have community dogs that are unsterilized, rather than letting litters happen and then trying to find homes for them, get your community dogs sterilized. Right? That's the first thing I want people to do, is to immediately be proactive about it, inform the BBMP, get those dogs picked up, sterilized, vaccinated, and then released back to where they were picked up from. We get on an average maybe about 8 to 10 calls a day for litters of 5 to 6 puppies in each litter. Right? So we're talking about in a single day, we get calls for about 60 puppies. Can you take them in? The reality on ground is no shelter in the country has the bandwidth of taking in 60 dogs a day. So what you can do is, yes, definitely you can try and help getting them adopted from the streets, the puppies, after they are vaccinated, after they are dewormed, once they are healthy, then try and get them adopted if you can. That's a fantastic thing to do. But what you do not do is pick up these puppies, keep them in your homes, try and get them adopted, and when that adoption fails, then you try and release them back on the streets, because you're killing their survival instincts. The first 3-4 months of their lives, they pick up a lot of survival tools from the mother itself. So absolutely try and get them adopted, but try and get them adopted from where they are. And if you cannot get them adopted finally, support them where they are. So my motto in life has always been prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So it's the same thing that you apply here. You hope that you can get them adopted, but in the worst case scenario, don't take away the survival instincts. So you can, our website is up and running. Our donation link is over there. We are on Instagram as Second Chance Sanctuary India. Our donation link is there as well. You can sponsor a day's meals. That's 5,000 rupees to feed 110 dogs 2 times a day. You can passively adopt a dog. Passive adoptions is basically for people who cannot have a dog at home, but they form a connect with the dog that they see online, and they want to just sponsor that dog till the dog's lifetime, or if the dog gets adopted. You can come and celebrate a special day here, commemorate a day here. So you can, whether it's a birthday, whether it's an anniversary. We had at the previous shelter that I worked with, there was a proposal that happened. So we've had that as well. So there are a lot of ways that you can contribute without having to contribute huge amounts, because it is and I say this every month whenever we're running our fundraising campaigns, is that people think that, oh, if I donate 500 or if I donate 1,000 rupees, I'm not making a difference. They actually feel bad about it. So they're like, okay, I don't think 1,000 rupees is going to make a difference. But what I want to encourage everyone to understand is that it's the drops that make up an ocean. That 1,000 rupees, if there's 20,000 of people, if you're people out there who are doing it, you're helping run a center for not just 1 month, you're helping run a center for at least 5-6 months, right? So even if you can put aside that 500,000 rupees a month and then donate it to an organization of your choice, believe me, it goes a long way. Don't think it's not going to make a difference. You can come and volunteer your time, you can come and donate in kind. So when we talk about in kind, we're talking about shampoos, kibbles. We feed the dogs fresh food here, but some of them are on prescription diets for kidney issues, for skin issues, or liver issues. So they're on prescription diets. And so you can come and donate those things. You can come and donate leashes and collars. You can donate toys. Our dogs love toys. So there's a lot of ways you can contribute without having to break the bank to it. I think we need a little bit more kindness in the world, not just with animals, but with everything that's going on. I think we need a little bit more kindness in the world. You don't have to love animals, you don't have to love dogs, but you don't have to harm them. That's the only thing that I will say, is that live and let live. Humans have become so entitled that we think we're the only beings that this earth belongs to, and we refuse to coexist with, we don't want to coexist with any other being. It's going to lead to our destruction anyway. But you don't have to love an animal, just don't harm an animal. That's it. That's all we're saying. Learn to coexist.